It's 11:28 in the morning on August 12, 2000. You are 108 meters below the surface of the Barents Sea. Aboard the Russian nuclear submarine Kawan-421 Kursk, there are 118 sailors on board. You are participating in a large-scale naval exercise, the largest the Russian Navy has conducted since the fall of the Soviet Union. And then the submarine shakes in a way that has nothing to do with any exercise. The first explosion carries the equivalent of 100 kilograms of TNT. It is not catastrophic by itself. It is a torpedo propellant that ignited inside the launch tube. The cause was a defective seal in the hydrogen peroxide fuel system of the torpedo. Hydrogen peroxide under pressure and temperature is not stable. When the seal failed, the fuel came into contact with the torpedo's metal components, and the result was inevitable. You feel the impact, the compartment lurches. Quote, lights flicker. Someone shouts, "But you are still alive!" And the emergency protocols trained into your body 1,000 times begin running automatically, before conscious thought can even name what is happening. The second explosion occurs 2 minutes and 15 seconds after the first. It carries the equivalent of 2,500 kilograms of TNT, registered as a seismic event of magnitude 2.2 by the Norwegian Institute of Seismology, registered by American and British sensors in the area, the equivalent of 22 torpedo warheads detonating. Simultaneously, when fire from the first explosion reached the remaining torpedoes in the forward compartment, the first 7 compartments of the Kursk were destroyed by the second explosion. The bow of the submarine, where most of the weapons were stored and where many of the crew had been stationed for the exercise, ceased to exist as a functional structure in under 2 seconds. 95 of the 118 sailors died in the first moments or immediately from the explosions. You were not in the forward compartments. 23 sailors survived the second explosion in the aft sections of the submarine. Compartment 9, at the very back end, the most protected by the reinforced steel bulkheads. The watertight doors functioned exactly as they were designed to function. They contained the flooding, at least temporarily, consumed. You were standing in a metal corridor with cold water coming up around your ankles and the certainty that someone was going to come and get you out of there. The Russian Navy knew the Kursk's position within 3 hours of the explosions. The seismic sensors, sonar contacts from other ships in the exercise, and the complete absence of communication from the submarine all pointed to a single location on the floor of the Barents Sea. President Vladimir Putin was on vacation at a resort in Sochi when he was notified. He did not return immediately. He remained in Sochi for 2 more days while rescue efforts began with available resources. The available resources were inadequate and poorly maintained. The 2 Russian rescue submarines dispatched first, the Bester and the As-34, attempted to dock with the Kursk's escape hatch 24 times over the course of 3 days. 24 failed attempts. The floor of the Barents Sea was uneven, the current was strong, and the Russian rescue equipment had not received adequate maintenance in years. A direct reflection of the state of Russian military finances throughout the 1990s following the Soviet collapse. Norway and the United Kingdom offered to help on the 3rd day. The Russian Navy declined. Institutional pride, military sensitivity about exposing the actual condition of the equipment, and bureaucratic inertia cost days. When the Russian government finally accepted Norwegian assistance on August 19th, 7 days after the explosions, Norwegian divers opened the rescue hatch in under 1 hour. Inside, there were no survivors. Lieutenant Commander Dmitry Kolesnikov, 27 years old, left a note, written at 3:15 in the afternoon on August 12th, 3 hours and 47 minutes after the explosions. He had survived. There were 22 other men with him. The note listed the names of all 23 who had survived the explosions and were in compartment 9. The handwriting is steady, without the tremor of panic. The note said they were in total darkness, that they could not use the escape apparatus because the pressure at the hatch was too high, and that they were waiting for rescue. A second section of the note, written with less steady handwriting, probably later that same day, said that the situation was deteriorating, that there were problems with the oxygen regeneration system. That pressure in the compartment was dropping. And one final line that has been quoted in every account of this disaster: "We must not despair." Later investigation concluded that a fire in compartment 9, caused by a chemical reaction when water came into contact with the oxygen regeneration cartridge in the escape equipment, would have killed all 23 men within hours of the second explosion, possibly still on August 12th, possibly before any rescue effort could have reached them, even if one had been sent immediately. But the 7 days made it impossible to know that with any certainty, and those 7 days were the time the families spent waiting in Russian ports, hearing official reports that said there was hope, that rescue efforts were progressing, that the situation was difficult but manageable. The sailors' families were summoned to a meeting on the 10th day. When a Navy admiral announced there were no survivors, the mother of one of the sailors began screaming at him. She was approached by 2 nurses who administered a sedative injection in front of the television cameras. The footage was broadcast around the world. The Kursk was raised from the floor of the Barents Sea in October of 2001 following a Dutch salvage operation. The bodies of all 118 sailors were recovered. The defective Type 6, the hydrogen peroxide propulsion system that powered it, had been banned from the British and American navies decades earlier on the grounds that it was excessively dangerous. The water at 108 meters depth in the Barents Sea is 35 degrees Fahrenheit. In compartment 9 of the Kursk, in total darkness, as the oxygen slowly thinned, 23 men waited. Some wrote letters to their families. Kolesnikov wrote the note, "We do not know what the others thought or said to each other or chose to do in those final hours on the bottom of the ocean. But we know that the last sentence, written by Dmitry Kolesnikov, who was 27 years old when the Kursk went down, was, 'We must not despair,' and that his handwriting, for the second time on that folded piece of paper, was steady."